Probably about half of my property is sectioned off into pastures, and after a while it starts to get expensive putting gates in. Metal gates, they are strong, they're reliable, relatively simple to install, but the cost does add up after a while. So I just started making my own. Wire gates are cheap, they're simple to make, and there's a lot of options you can have for the modifications. We made this gate entirely out of scrap pieces. Scrap wire, you can see we got the old tighteners on. We clipped this off of some old fence. You can secure the one end to a post or a tree and then run the wire out however wide you need it. Depending on how wide it is, you want to have some sort of stabilizer. We have this small piece of locust tacked on with staples, and then we have a rock at the bottom just to keep it from going into the mud. Locust will last forever, but we still want to keep it from rotting as much as we can. And then we just have another locust post over here, the wire secured to, tied and tacked. And then we have number 9 wire, just loosely tied around a tree or a post. And then you want to make a notch. We got a chainsaw, made a notch. And you make it little number 9 wire long enough to where it's tight, but it's not too tight that you have a really hard time lifting the gate. And then it's just very simple. You push it forward, lift the number 9 wire, and then you lift it up out of here, and you can either step through. A lot of times, even stepping through, you don't even have to lift the lower part. There it's secure. If I want to come back through and don't want to lift the lower part, I just unhook it, lean it like that, and step through, and then just hook it through. That's nice thing about these, is fast and simple. Or if I want to get the cows through, what I'll do is I'll pop it out like this, and then I'll just put some tension on it. That way the wires don't get too tangled up. And then go ahead and open it up. Hey, Frank. Hey, Frank. This is the first one we made back in 2017 over at the grandparents' farm. Same concept, attaching it to a tree or a post, and then however long you want to make it. That's a good thing about these, you can modify it. And then the stabilizers along the middle, and then your end piece with a post or board with either number 9 wire or some thick fence wire. The wider you make these gates, the higher chance you have of them getting twisted and snagged, especially if you use barbed wire. So you want to use these middle slats as stabilizers. You can use boards. We have boards. Just tack the staples in, space them apart. Make sure you measure how far apart you have your wire. You want to make sure you have these spaced apart as well. Just a small little detail. You can also buy them. We bought these at a regular farm box store. They're easy to get on. They're kind of flimsy. Lightweight, I'd say that's probably the only advantage they have, but you can see this one is bent. I'm not going to ever buy these again. I would just as soon use a board or a post. Wider gates like this do have a bit more weight, so the boards that we use aren't that heavy. These, of course, are very light, but again, they bend. Another thing, whenever you go to open these up, you want to make sure you keep some tension on it. That way it helps keep it from twisting. It's pretty simple. I just lift it up a bit, keep some tension, I'm pulling on it, and then I just walk like that. You can set it down. Then I can move cows, drive my truck through, drive the tractor through, drive the old mule through. To pull it closed, just lift up, keep tension on it. And this thing hasn't twisted. I set the bottom in first, got it on a rock, and then just hook it around. The one on my property, we cut a notch in it. This one, we don't have a notch. Sometimes you need one, sometimes you don't. This one, we've never had any trouble with not having a notch. This is stable enough. The cows put weight against it, push against it. I haven't had any issues with it. The other one, we put on a rock. This one, we haven't put on a rock. And that's all there is to it. It's a simple concept, cheap to make. relatively lightweight, not as sturdy as a metal or a solid oak gate that you could fashion yourself. But since 2017, we've never had any cows escape. Have we, Frank?